What if after I stepped up here, I asked each one of you to stand up and deliver a talk? Fear of public speaking is the #1 fear, even greater than dying. I may talk about that in a minute too. But go back to me asking you to stand up and talk. You might want to run away, bolt in fear, like my horse Nighthawk. Whoa, stop your runaway. I'm going to ask you to do something different. It's not easy, but it's simple. Be still. The greatest thing we can do today to fulfill our reason for being and to embody what God sent us to earth to do is to drop our armor and embody the qualities of love, compassion, resilience, courage, integrity, hope, all those things that the world so needs today. No doubt it's hard to stop scrolling. And when we want to get away from the world and we want to disassociate or disconnect, no doubt it's hard to stop our hypervigilance and our ways of trying to find safety in this world. My mentor and coach, Trisha Brook, in her recent book, Being Smart is Stupid, taught that the way that we find that space between reacting to what the world throws at us and being able to connect with our higher self is simply be still. She teaches the still method, and I'm going to share that with you. The S in still stands for stop, literally stop what you're doing. The T stands for tune in. Feel into your body. Are you aware of your breath? Can you feel your feet on the ground? Are you aware of the sensations, the feelings that you have? And as you observe your sensations and feelings, observe without judgment, without being attached, note that you're not your feelings. You're so much more than your feelings. Now that you've stopped and tuned in, now it's time to intuit, the I in still. From this place, you should have access to your highest self, what I'm going to call today the I am. Each one of us has it. You have access to it now. And now you'll know what to do and how to do it. Now that you're tied into that, now that you've called home, hello up there. The first L in still stands for listening. And as you listen, if you have any type of uncertainty in your body, now is the time to wait for embodied clarity. However, if you feel calm, serene, and certain, now's the time to act. Take action. When we listen, the next step then is to learn. This is a continuous process where we go up to our higher self, the I am, we get still, we tune in, we listen, and from here, we continuously learn. It's a never-ending spiral of learning from our higher consciousness, which we all have access to. When you practice the still practice, it allows you to disrupt your programming, your life programming of getting caught into the places where you're, how you embody the places that block the F's of dysregulation. It's flight, it's fight, fawn, freeze. These are the foundation for depression, complex PTSD, which is what I had. It's for despair, anything that makes us feel insecure in our body. When these all align, it creates the defenses that block us from our true self, our I am. When we are in our defenses, it's hard to get still. It's hard to feel safe. When we're not still, we view the world through the kaleidoscope. We see it as an unsafe place, and we experience it through our wounds from our past. "11 years ago, I was laying in a hospital bed, contemplating dying. Several around me had left their bodies. They'd coded and left. I'd had my C-reactive protein test, which is a score to look at your overall inflammation, was 187. Doctors gets nervous if it's more than 7. As I lay there talking to God about dying, I was like, it's true. I witnessed, I am not thinking about the money I made. I'm not thinking about the saddles I've won. I'm not thinking about the state championships. I am not thinking about being a badass lawyer. All I am thinking about is God and who and what I love. I'd had pericarditis, inflammation on my heart for the last year, and it had steadily gotten worse. Also, I had pneumonia and pleuritis, severe inflammation in around my lungs. I was not intubated, but I was on oxygen all the time. My body hurt so bad from systemic inflammation that my teeth fillings hurt. All of a sudden, I was enveloped in this white and gold shimmery tube of light. It was large. It was bigger than you can imagine in our human consciousness. I left my body and I went up, 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 high into the upper atmosphere. I was walking in the Milky Way. I was translucent, one with light. I felt warm, safe, and totally at home. As I was ascending, I felt like a little 4-year-old running to my heavenly parents' lap. I felt 100% loved and totally, totally worthy. Then I realized I wasn't done with my reason for this life. I decided I wanted to come back. I made 2 promises to God. I promised to do whatever it took to heal and to get into my body. As soon as I made those promises, down I came from up high in the upper atmosphere, right back down into my body. Thud, thunk. It was awful. I felt like I was crawling into a dead elk carcass, laying on the interstate of life. My first assignment with the greater wisdom that I received was I had to heal myself. I'd had good doctors for those 11 days that I was in the hospital, but my inner wisdom said doctors can't heal me. Transformational healing is between each of us and the divine. I now know that my pain was partially caused by early childhood sexual abuse when I was 5, and also from my mom. She was not really mom material. She'd had her own childhood trauma, and she chose to drink alcohol instead of deal with her pain. So I took on her pain. To heal, I realized I had to learn how to slow down, sleep at night, and allow myself to feel those things I've been running from. All my life, I was scared, terrified that my mom would hurt herself, me, or someone else. My saving grace on the ranch was being outside with my horse friends. I felt like I was in heaven, and being around my mom felt like hell sometimes. All my life, my saving grace was love for and from horses. Being with horses allowed me to slow down, be still, and get present. Whoops. It was natural for me to enroll in a course on equine gestalt coaching taught by Melissa Pierce at Touched by a Horse. At one of the seminars, I heard Melissa talking to Eddie, this beautiful gray horse. And she told Eddie he'd never coached before. And so Melissa's talking to him and she says, you can do this. All you have to do is have confidence, be still, do what comes naturally. And I thought, hearing her talk to the horse, I went, I can do that. If Eddie can do it, I can do it. I'll be still, I'll go within, I'll have confidence, I'll do what comes naturally, and I'll hold compassion for myself in all life. Finally, I reached a place on my healing path where I could feel the deep, dark terror, despair, and all those feelings that had been stuck inside me and were undigested. It happened during a process when my defenses played themselves out. All of a sudden, I felt the pain and I collapsed, crying tears that I needed to cry decades ago. Can we hold, please? I got stuck on the wrong slide. Oh, yep, got it. I will never forget my mare Mystic partnered with Melissa for that process. I will never forget Mystic's big heart, loving me, holding me as I broke down. Her big soft eye was soaking me into her presence. It's half brown, half blue. As she stood there, her nostrils were barely moving as she stood there breathing, and it felt like the waves of the ocean soothing. Mystic was free to be anywhere she wanted to be, yet she chose to be close to me as she could get. A horse's heart has been measured to emanate 5 times the same measurement of a human's heart. I could feel the emanations from Mystic's heart entering my heart as she built an energetic container holding me as I broke down. For the last 11 years, I've sought transformational healing through love from and for horses. I've worked really hard on my psychology. I've done chiropractic, I've done acupuncture, I've done homeopathy, I've done herbs. You can think of the modality. I probably did it because I promised God. And so throughout that process, I also worked with coaches who helped me face my fears. The transformation is truly remarkable. Physically, I no longer have the chronic pain that I had for 30 years before I died. I took painkillers for 15 or 20 years to function. No longer have that. No longer have fibromyalgia. No longer have migraines. And best of all, the doctors predicted that from my sickness, I would have severe scarring on my lungs and my heart. A year later, I went and did the imaging. I do not have that, by God's grace. Emotionally, I no longer have complex PTSD. I know I can choose whether to react. My husband's not here. He might tell you a little bit differently, but it's my story today. So I can choose how to respond most of the time. Mentally, my ability to think, create, analyze is increased exponentially. And spiritually, I actually feel more light and love in my body than I ever thought was possible. Now, transformational healing is not for candy asses. No, you are for those who are afraid to face their shadow and embrace the part of them that is good that scares us all. If we don't do the inner work for healing, it's like moving the chairs around on the deck of the Titanic on that top floor, and we're not doing the work. And when that big ocean liner hits that submerged ice vessel, it's sunk. If we seek change without changing ourselves, like it's change through a pill or a surgery, and don't do the inner work, we too will be subject to sinking. When we hit what's submerged, are left as records in our bodies. Dr. Carl Jung taught that the way that we have to make the unconscious conscious. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk taught that the body remembers. And through his work, there's been an exponential, proliferation of somatic experiencing modalities that allow the body to process and transform what's been stuck inside it for the stuck energy. Transformational healing occurs when we find that space. We no longer have our habitual emotions and actions. I like to call it the cosmic interval. This is where all recreation occurs. And when you allow yourself to slow down and get still, then you're open to being able to let go of your habits from your lifetime. And you open up to be able to fill that space with, I'm going to again borrow from the I am. You create space by letting go of the dysregulations and the nerve systems and everything that keeps us tight and locked up, and you create space. When you go through the portal of fear, anxiety, depression, terror, whatever you label how you embody what tangles us up and keeps us from being in contact with our higher self, and you go through that portal and you shed that restriction, then you can get still and you could enter the cosmic interval where all time and space ceases to exist, and you can experience transformational healing. When we experience transformational healing, it allows our nervous system to relax, the tension in our body to leave. It decreases our connection to our amygdala. It increases our connection to our prefrontal cortex. It increases neuroplasticity. And best of all, it allows our brain to be able to reconfigure and adopt those qualities of higher consciousness, the peace, the love, the hope, the compassion, the resilience, all those things, again, that we so need in the world. And by doing this, you are changing the world to build a greater place. And I just had a moment. Basically, when we allow ourselves to slow down and get still, and we allow that subconscious what's underneath to come up, we go through that portal, we shed the blockages, we let it out of our body, we're able to reconfigure emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually at a higher level. And this is available to you here now. It's a miracle. It is available to you to start your path to wholeness right here, or to continue it. I mean, like, what a miracle. Whoa. During the Great Depression, there was a horse named Seabiscuit. He had an inauspicious start to his racing career. He was awkward looking. He was thought to be lazy. And all of a sudden, he started surging to winning races on the racetrack. And he gave people hope when they needed it. That small horse showed that no matter what your background is, what your adversity is, anybody can triumph over adversity. This year is the year of the Chinese horse. Throughout time, horses have symbolized independence, freedom, strength, confidence. In mythology, we oftentimes look to horses as being the transporters between here and the spirit world. So I'm going to share a quick story about Nighthawk. Nighthawk's story is important because he had to overcome horse PTSD. I took him to a trainer and to be trained to pull something. And horses are the quintessential flight animals. Their whole safety is based on their ability to assess and move from fear. Well, the trainer made a mistake, and Nighthawk got loose with the harness on him. So he's running through the town, pulling the harness, and the harness is hitting him in the legs. And the trainer caught him and then called me, and I said, well, I think we're going to discontinue his training, right? And I brought Nighthawk home. Now, he did have complex PTSD, and I've tried riding him, but he felt like he could just be like a powder keg, just take off. And this is important about Nighthawk, but I want you to think about yourself. When you embody your F's of dysregulation, do you have control of yourself? No, me neither. Nighthawk had that same problem, but he's 1,400 pounds. So I really wanted him to make it. I love this horse. So my sister and I took time. We loved him. We set boundaries, but we were very consistent, and we worked him through. And I actually use what I've learned from working with horses to how I treat my soul for healing. Our souls can't heal unless we become the love that we need. And so I loved Nighthawk. I love my soul. And I created a place where I could move through and get rid of the complex PTSD, which is what Nighthawk did over time. It took a couple of years. And so Nighthawk is now turning into being able to embody his I am, his higher horse nature. He's now we're in a loving, committed, respectful relationship. Now, note, at 1,400 pounds, he's a draft horse. He could pretty much go wherever he wanted to if I don't have in connection with his heart. So his story is illustrative for all of our journeys. And just like Nighthawk, I had to learn how to slow down and to feel and find those places, look underneath the hood, so to speak, find which was hidden, allow it to surface, and then move through it and shed it. To keep my promise to God and to do whatever it took to heal, I used my fears, my greatest fears, as a target, because it seemed to me that's where the transformational growth was. As I was healing and becoming more whole, I realized there were 5 steps to transformational healing. Transformational healing is not linear. It's spherical and holographic. And when each one of us goes through it, it culminates in each one of us embodying more wholeness. Now, this is a QR code. It's also in your bag. The two horses with their noses touching. On one side, it says, love is the alchemical key to transformation. But that also has this QR code. But it talks about the 5 touchstones. Number 1 touchstone is embody presence. Number 2, heal thyself. Number 3, unlock the imprisoned energy in your body. Number 4, who we think we are matters. And number 5 is create a light-filled life of wholeness. We can turn our greatest fear into our greatest asset. You turn your fear into your asset by assembling the inner and outer resources so that you can move through the portal of fear towards your inner wholeness. When we change ourselves, we are doing our work to change the world. After dying and returning, I'm on a mission to spark a revolution for wholeness that starts inside each of us. And based on that, I'm giving a free workshop tomorrow morning here in this hotel from 10 to 12. And I'm going to teach in depth about how you can find peace during chaos, how you can unlock. I believe I came back to language the inner moves of transformational healing. And I'd love to see you there. Come see me if you'd like to let me know you're coming. So let's start a revolution for wholeness that starts inside each of us. And from that foundation, let's transform the world to the place we dream of.